What's up, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome on in. It's the Brash Free Media Podcast for Thursday, March 6th, 2025. I'm Zach Haydorn, your host. That is Tyler Sage. He's your other host. Tyler, what's going on, man? Happy Revolution pay-per-view go-home show day.
Yeah, and a long time no talk. It's like the tightest we've ever had shows together. So
yeah, seriously.
Good to be here. Good to talk. I think all AEW today. It's been a long time since you and I have done that, especially. So
it really has. Yeah, we haven't. We've done. I mean, yeah, we just have had I feel like a lot of WWE stuff to talk about between the Royal Rumble and Elimination Chamber and a couple pivots on schedule where all of a sudden it's like, man, it's been a couple weeks since we've ran down what's going on with AEW. But this is a good time to do it. This is a good time to do it because Revolution is on Sunday night, and I think it's a really big show, just for the company. I think they put together a nice card overall. I think they've built up to the show well overall, and it seems like more so than in recent past with recent pay-per-views with AEW. It seems like there's more momentum behind this one. There seems like there's more fan intrigue, more just interest in this show overall. So I think when you've got all those things working for you, you got to be happy if you're Tony Khan. What have you thought about just kind of AEW as a whole right now and Revolution as a whole right now?
Yeah. AEW is kind of lying low in the grass from a, what's going on with the other company standpoint, but taking that time to do good, like you said.
Yeah.
We're not having Max Caster go 10 minutes with Jay White for no reason.
Right.
For example, last night, right? Which, because Max Caster is Otis, and Jay White is not even Gunther to AEW in comparison, obviously. But, the fact that booking is working out is, just one example. And, just all that other stuff. And building up this show here, I think every singles match, even the tag match, they have a story that's been built for a couple of weeks here, right? The Moxley stuff, whether you've liked it or not, I did like last night's, and there's intrigue on what happens there. And, with every build, I think we'll get into it as we go through the show here. But, even when I'm watching the show last night and I see the effort put into the Outrunners and what they're doing there, I was like, wow, this is a level of presentation that they're doing with every match, right? Usually it's one or two. It'd be Kenny and Takeshita and Will Ospreay and Fletcher would get a lot of the time because that's what Tony Khan's most interested in. And now it feels like the whole show is getting spread across in a good way. I would challenge you to name both Outrunners. I remember watching that last night. I was going to ask Zach if he can name.
Man, dude, I don't even know that I can name one of them. Turbo? Is Turbo one of them?
Yeah, it's Turbo Floyd.
Yes, Turbo Floyd. Okay.
And
Turbo Floyd.
And Bill.
Do we know the other one?
I know someone in the chat can drop it on us.
I
remember they said it too. I was like, oh, Excalibur said it, I think. I was like, oh, that's good to actually know. I have no idea what their names are. Out of context of a match that I'm kind of not half paying attention to when they're on.
Do you know how you can, for tag teams especially, you can look at tag teams and go, oh man, yeah, that guy in that tag team is going to be a singles guy, and that guy's going to. Neither one of these two guys are going to be singles guys. If I were to put my money on it, this is a tag team for life for the Outrunners.
Yeah, for sure. Since the 80s.
Yeah, right. Yeah, since the 80s. Yeah, I mean, if it surpasses all eras, it doesn't matter what it is. It doesn't matter when it is. So, yeah, this is I agree with you with much of what you said. I thought last night on Dynamite, and we're gonna get through Dynamite as we preview Revolution here because it's a 9-match card. So we want to put enough juice behind this preview, but we'll be able to talk Dynamite in detail as we preview the show. The pay-per-view, that is. But, I mean, high level, the show last night I thought was just really well constructed. Like if you go from top to bottom, everything that happened on the show like influenced the pay-per-view. It all was like directed at the pay-per-view. The show was there to hype up the pay-per-view. And so often, like you just didn't see that with AEW. So often you'd see, Will Ospreay in this 25-minute match instead of like a meaningful angle that'll put heat on him or on his opponent ahead of the pay-per-view. And here, like you got something from Cope and you got something from Mox and you got something from John Moxley, or Ricochet and Swerve Strickland and MJF and Adam Page and Mercedes Moné and Tony Storm, Mariah, like all the big things were hit in one way or the other. And the thing that like really kind of stood out to me in that regard was all of it made sense. Like I think in some spots, and we'll talk about it, like they, there's some things that I think they went overboard on. But like Tony Storm versus Mariah May, for example, that needed something. You had to do something to kind of put a final stamp on that build. But it didn't need more than just a short little 3-minute video package. Like it didn't need more than that. And they just gave it exactly what it needed. And I thought you can apply that to a lot of the matches on the pay-per-view this week on Dynamite.
Agreed. Yeah. I mean, trying to think like, was there even a dud? I mean, I guess I don't. There was nothing where I was like, "Wow, why is this on the show?" Like even there's 2 matches that like in theory would be that, which is like the women's 4-way, but I thought that had good action and her name Megan Bain.
Yep,
was impressive doing that like kind of press a couple of times over the edge, and then even like Brian Keith and Brian Cage being in a match in general with anybody usually is like not good, but I did enjoy, that whatever that 8-man tag, but that was like fine enough. Right. And that should have been like the worst thing. It was the worst thing on the card probably, but it was still intriguing and good television. So usually that would be like the middleest thing on the show. And it was the worst thing on the show, just like as a week to week look at what's going on. So.
Right. Yep. All right. So we will, again, we're going to preview AEW Revolution here today. So we are glad you are here with us. Thanks to everybody who's joined us live on YouTube. Hello to our YouTube listeners. Hello to our listeners and viewers on X. We're here with this podcast 2 times a week, usually on Tuesday nights and usually here Thursday or Friday afternoons. 2 times for the Brass Ring Media podcast right here on the One True Sport YouTube channel. All of our Brass Ring Media shows now air live on One True Sports YouTube channel in a partnership that started up first of the year. Been really cool to kind of be introduced into the One True Sport world and meet a lot of new people and bring some more folks into what we do at Brass Ring Media. So thank you for that. If you want to catch our Brass Ring Media live shows, all of them, which is these 2 shows, Robert Vios's Nocturnal Knockout shows, and Ashley's Kick-Ash podcast on Saturday morning. If you're not a YouTube person and you don't want to, sit in front of the computer or on your phone and you just want to, put headphones in and walk around and do your thing, all of these live shows can be heard on our Brass Ring Media podcast feed. And you can get that wherever you get your podcasts. So Spotify, Apple, wherever. We're there. Just search Brass Ring Media, and all these shows will drop on that feed so you can take us on the go. So subscribe there. You can also find us on Patreon, patreon.com/Brass Ring Media. All of our work is posted there. We have membership. We have membership tiers. For $4, you can become a Brass Ring Media member and get everything that we do from a content perspective. You get a member-only podcast once a week. You get all of our pay-per-view and PLE review shows, including this weekend for AEW Revolution. You get access to our Discord community where all our members hang out and talk wrestling, talk life, and just have a good time. Full access to the newsletter, which lives on Substack, and so much more. So it's $4, and now's a really great time to subscribe. Last week we did a Elimination Chamber review. We got Revolution coming up this weekend, WrestleMania on the horizon. So a good time to check us out and see what we do. I think you'll enjoy it. We're certainly proud of what we offer, and we hope that you jump in. We'd love to have you as a member. Once again, it's only $4 to do that. Patreon.com /Brass Ring Media. As far as today goes, hello to everybody who's in our live chat. It is bouncing already. Jason and Eddie and the boss and Hassan and Zodiac are all in there. Andrew too, Zach as well. It's going to be a blast. I can already tell. Big thanks to our Brass Ring Media Gold members, Andrew H., Sean Plichta, and Adam Kidd. We couldn't do this without you guys. So thank you. I have super chats enabled. If you guys want to drop a question in or a topic, anything you want, we'll get to it. It's a great way to support the show, to support us, and help us keep doing what we're doing here at Brass Ring Media. So drop it in there, and we'll make sure to get to it. We already have one for Zach, from Zach, sitting in there right now. All right. All that said, AEW Revolution Sunday from the Crypto.com arena in Los Angeles, a big venue. I think it's gonna be cool to see them in a bigger venue after running smaller venues, and this is the benefit of doing that. You can make your pay-per-views feel like a big deal. I don't know the ticket situation off the top of my head, but it's surely going to be a cool environment to see them back in like a big time in a big time space. So going to be fun. Let's start our preview with MJF versus Adam Page singles match this Sunday. They've touched now, but they haven't had a match since like the real early days of AEW Dynamite existing. These two came to each other, Tyler, at the right moment in time. You had an MJF character that was just floundering out there with Jeff Jarrett of all people, and Adam Page out there kind of not like around, but not really doing anything significant and kind of in this weird heel spot. And this feud just brought two of your top guys together and let them just be who they are. You know, the MJF can be the jerk heel that everybody hates. Adam Page can be the likable badass that everybody loves, and you just let them go at it. And that's that. So I've really enjoyed what they've done here with this feud top to bottom. I think MJF has found his groove a little bit. I think it's finally okay for fans to cheer Adam Page. It's like, that's what they want to do. No one wants to boo that guy. And now they can again. And I just think it's not the main event, and it's probably not, it's not even, I would say maybe not even a top 3 match on the show, but
certainly the opener, but
yeah, but I think it means a lot to AEW's booking and presentation and show as a whole to like get these guys into something meaningful. I think that matters. I think it matters to have your top guys in positions where they can do top guy things. Finally, MJF and Adam Page are doing that here. Well, let me just toss to you on that first, and then we'll pick some winners and get to a super chat on this. What have you thought about this feud, how they've built it up, and just how both guys have been portrayed throughout the build?
Yeah. First of all, I was trying to find the WrestleTix information on Revolution while you were talking. I was listening, but no. What a horrible app that has become. I couldn't even find anything. It was giving me like 2023 information when I searched WrestleTix. Anyway, but yeah, I mean, like you said, the elevator pitch of this is like two guys that found each other the moment they needed them, right? Both are in such a better spot than they were 4 weeks ago. And it's something that, they are guys who have been there since the beginning. And Adam Page was the anointed guy. And MJF is kind of right. And that's the best reason for a heel to be like pissed, is when they're kind of right. But he does get cheered for kind of the same stuff that MJF does. So like as a story, it's worked for both of them. Even the stuff that is like super dumb and overplayed in wrestling, Page rolling up with the car and almost hitting Renee as well. Was funny. I wonder how they got that thing on there, because that was like a rental Hummer EV or something.
So he's had that 2 weeks in a row now.
Where were they last week?
They were in I don't remember, but he's had it twice.
I'm sure Tony's, they get the premium. You rent the Maybach or
that car is sweet, by the way. I think it's like a $75,000 car though.
Oh yeah. So it's funny. Off topic there. I watched the Captain America movie, and they're driving one of those, and they drive from like DC to like West Virginia. I was like, I know these MFers didn't stop and charge that thing. This is so. But anyway, yeah, like it's good for both of them, and like it's a spot where I think I know what's going to happen, but it's not like okay, well, it's time for this person to do this, and like both of them are kind of in neutral for where they are, and this is a good way to really elevate one of them. And even like Paige post Swerve, like it's a place for even the loser goes on to do stuff that's interesting. So yeah, so I've loved it, and it's given MJF a reason to be indignant as a heel and make sense, as opposed to just like palling around with Jeff Jarrett, like you said.
Yes, like he has an actual like direction to like, instead of just being a troll, it's like this gives him somewhere to direct the trolliness. And like with Jeff Jarrett, it was just like, oh my god, this feud is just a one big troll job after the next. And here it's like you get the sense that this could have some type of long-term impact on the company or Adam Page or MJF or the future of the world title. Like all of that is at hand, and I think that part's really good.
Andrew's right with the distribution number. So
let me see. I'm not like up to date on that.
That's what I had to. If you want,
okay. So it's set up for 9,247, 8,586 tickets distributed, 661 tickets available. So that's going to look awesome. Like it's going to look like a full building. And I would venture to guess that they'll probably chip away at that 661 between now.
Try and get. Hopefully they'll get to 10 or close to it.
Yeah.
I would paper it a little bit if I were them just to get there. But
yeah, just to say that. What I didn't like about this feud, or this was the go home. Like I liked the go home angle this week on Dynamite. I really did. I liked the, MJF being scummy, like putting his scarf around somebody else, distracting Paige that way, and then getting the upper hand and beating him up and taking him out. I would put a hard ban on lighting anything on fire in AEW for the next 18 months. No fire, no threat of fire, no houses burning on fire, nothing. No. I just thought, at the moment that happened where he's putting lighter fluid on him, I'm like, geez, okay, well, here comes the breakup, and I guess it's a pet peeve, but it's more so just like you don't need it. You just don't need it. I don't think that added anything to the program, to the feud, to the angle. I just don't think it did. Unless he was gonna light that dude on fire for real, you're not getting anything out of it. And I would just leave it. I would just leave it alone. Don't do it. You don't need to do it. And that would be the only thing that in this feud really where I kind of turned my head going, really, come on, like we just don't need that. Know when to pull back, know when you've done enough, and just stop. And I think this was that moment for me. We have a super chat on this. Tyler, what did you think of the fire? Did you want him? Were you cheering on MJF to light old Adam Page on fire, or what?
Well, so you have the chat in front of you, right?
I do.
Tracy is 100% correct in my opinion, and that's my exact opinion as well.
Okay.
And it is that what did Adam Page do in storyline to Swerve Strickland's house? Now, I know he was the bad guy in that situation, but it didn't take much for people to cheer him pretty emphatically post that situation. That's one thing where, if John Cena burns down Cody Rhodes' house, he's not turned into babyface by, Survivor Series. Probably, right? So it's two phase, right? Like it's MJF saying like, "Well, I can't do this and he can." Like that's his whole theory of the case.
But I would push back a little bit on this and say, but when Adam Page did that, he was a bad guy. Like he was a heel. He was, arch enemy of Swerve. Like,
yeah, but people love him very soon after. He did that feud, and then what did he do after that?
Nothing.
Yeah, he like went away and he came back and now he's a babyface, right? So I'm just saying like that's the point MJF's making in character is that like this guy did the worst thing ever and I was about to do it, and you were booing me for it. Like, you hypocrites. That's why I got the tattoo removed, etc. So, and they weren't going to light him on fire, and it's like fine. The thing I had the most offense for was like the refs selling the smell of lighter fluid, like by what, like they're like, oh, stinky. Like I was like, what are we doing with that? That was lame as hell. But yeah, no, I liked it because it wasn't going to happen. You know, I have more beef with, and I'm probably the biggest Swerve Strickland fan per capita on planet Earth. I have more of a beef with him saying like, you didn't kill me. That's where you messed up, Ricochet, and I'm going to kill you.
Yeah, but, I have it. Yeah,
explicitly, but to say that and then wrestle somebody, and I like this show a lot. So we're just getting into like counterpoint here, but like to say that to somebody, then you wrestle them in the same show and you go nowhere near killing them because you're saving to kill them for later. I have more of an issue with that. As I would probably advise Swerve to avoid doing that for a while because he's kind of leans on that trope. But
yeah, he goes to that quite a bit. Yeah, he does.
Yeah. So like I had more an issue with that. And then like I don't know, does the super chat have about MJF like crying, like being pulled off like a baby?
It's a little bit it's a little bit of a mixture of that and a point of like let's rebook this thing a little bit so we can get to that.
Yeah, because like my theory on that, just like broadly, is that I think this MJF character is different as a heel than he's been in the past. And I think if you asked him to like analyze what type of villain he is, he's more of like a petulant child that is like not getting his way, and that was expressed in that moment. So I think that's what he's going for. So like let that play out, as opposed to being like, tying a woman to train tracks and twirling his mustache heel, which is what he's kind of been for a minute. So I think that works more for me if that is the case, and like the way he wins, is like a rich kid getting his way or whatever, right? Is more that angle. So I don't know if that's the case for sure. So TBD on that, but I was okay with that as well because that's really the only way to do it unless there's a third party involved, unless Jay White just comes in and saves everybody from everything in this situation. So you can get to that chat if you want.
Yeah. I hear what you guys are both are saying. I mean, and I think that does make sense looking backwards. In the moment, I was just like, all right, if these guys didn't run out there, was he gonna? Would he light them on fire? And I guess I was just kind of like, no, he's not. So here comes the cavalry, and rather than like, oh wow, thank God they came out there. It was more like, all right, looking at the watch, like, okay, when is that going to happen? Let me get to the super chat here. Zach says, I'm going to challenge you. What do you replace the lighter fluid with to get the same visual of MJF being carried out screaming, which was the goal? To me, they had it. Like that's the thing. And again, that's why I say this all with in the background of praising this angle quite a bit, because I think they had it. I think you had this like blindside attack from behind, MJF just beating up Adam Page to a pulp. I mean, go further on that, is what I would say. Go further on that, and just you can carry him out. To me, you could carry him out in the same exact way. It's no fire, but chairs or tables or something with the stairs, or even like, I didn't love the screwdriver stuff or the stuff with the when that was going down with Ricochet, but they've made that matter. So I think if you just were uber violent with this, you could have gotten the same exact thing, because that's essentially what the lighter fluid was. It was like the threat of intense, insane violence. And I think you could do that in a better way than, holy God, this guy's going to burn this dude alive on TBS, on a Wednesday night. So that's what I would say. But what do you think, Tyler?
Yeah. So first of all, I think the best part about this whole go home show for this feud was MJF's outdoor promo to open the show. I like the passion. I like what he said. Like, that could have been it for me, and I would have been totally thumbs up. I'm in on this. So it's one of those things of like, I probably don't do anything after that. But if you do, like, I think the idea is there, like something heinous that Adam Page has done in the past, if you don't want to do the fire thing, or you light something else on fire if you want to do that. Like you don't want to do like the car; that's too expensive, probably, even as a tax donate.
That would be epic.
Yeah, so that would be cool. Also super dangerous if it's an electric car. So
yeah.
But so you could do that or whatever. You could have. I'm trying to think of something super heinous that Hangman's done besides that. But something like that if you want to do it. But like with the Swerve and Ricochet stuff on the show anyway, I thought that was like a little. You don't want to do more blood and back-to-back stuff, right?
Yeah, that's true too. Yep.
Beauty things. And like if you're going to do it, I'd swap that because the Swerve and Ricochet thing is, a number one contendership and Nana's coat on the line. So like that, you don't need to go to the blood. So I probably would have saved that and just had the main event, not the contract signing. And then I would have done like what you're laying out here and done like a blood spot between these two. If you're like, have me rebook the show.
Good point. And yeah, again, I want to just make sure to put an emphasis on this. Like, I think I wouldn't do it just because I think they had it without it. Like, it's not like they didn't need some like huge thing to get to where they needed to going into this. And that also plays into like when and when not to use, big angles like this. Tracy sends us a super chat here. It says, Tyler just said I'm 100% correct. I'm gloating now.
Well, she usually is anyway. So
that's true. I mean, yeah, like I feel like I feel like you can gloat often, Tracy, with how many times you're right. So, have at us goofs here. Thank you, Tracy, for the super chat and support the show. We got Zach. We got Zach here, or excuse me, Sean here, our premium gold member in the chat. Says, Tyler, you're too nice to them. He would have lit him on fire. Want to respond to that? Would he? I mean, like that's kind of my point too. Like, I think he would have. Like, I don't think he was I'm going to play mind games here. I think it was like, I'm going to try to do this, and I'm mad that they're not letting me.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I think that's a dangerous path to go down in wrestling. If we're like, if the security didn't come out, Brock Lesnar totally would have like punched.
I know. You're right.
So until they died, right? Like, so there's like infinite possibilities to get to that point, and it's like totally fine because it's a show. It's like when you have your main hero and your main villain in a superhero movie, right? And they meet in the middle, but for some reason they don't fight because you have to fight at the end, right? That's exactly the same thing. That's what's happening. So like, I get that point. It just doesn't affect me personally as like an issue because it's about the theme, not about the plot. Was the goal there? And that is like, a little bit more of a nuanced point. Not that wrestling is the most nuanced thing of all time, but
no, but it can be.
Yeah. But that's like I'm looking only at the theme, and you guys are looking mainly at the plot. And I think we could probably meet in the middle more. And we're, wherever we are in the middle of this is probably the correct opinion.
Yeah, and it's funny. Like this is just a total sidebar, but doing these shows, which by the way, I love doing this stuff, and because it's so interesting, obviously, to talk about the matches and everything. But there are some sometimes you catch yourself where it's like just the other day about the Rock Cena stuff. I was like, yeah, like there are plot holes here, for sure, but like they don't faze me in that instance, or they didn't faze me in that instance
because it's working, right?
Yeah, and here it did faze me a bit, and it's funny like when that rears its head, and where it doesn't, and so it shows you like the true subjective nature.
Yeah, if I can be like half jokingly mean on this, does Rock has John Cena's soul? Like he took it, like is that an issue to you? Yeah, it's like that same sort of thing. Like,
it's like it is also more like. Okay, Rock.
So that's theme too, not plot, right? And you guys are all understand the theme of that, as opposed to like, there's not like a Ghostbusters vacuum on Rock's back where he's sucking the soul out of them, right? And if they visualize that would be, but if they visualize that, it'd be super lame, right? And that's your guys' argument that they did kind of visualize this and it was lame because it wasn't going to happen. So like, I get that argument. That's like the counter to my point,
It is. It is. But like the thing too, it's like, okay. Like the idea that if okay, what would have happened if John Cena didn't win the Elimination Chamber? Major plot hole. But I'm just kind of like, the same thing would have happened probably. It's just he wouldn't have won, and it all would have been fine. It didn't bother me at all. But obviously there's people out there where they're like, come on, man, give us that connection.
And I don't, not to like counterpoint everything usually, but like that match, everybody in that match, I think you could believe that Rock would have talked to all 6 of them, and all 6 of them could be like, yeah, I want to win that title. I want to beat Cody. I want to be the main guy. Every one of them.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm agreeing with you.
That's why it worked, because all of them are, soul stealable.
Their souls are up for sale. Yeah. Who you got to win this one? MJF or Adam Page? I mean, I think you can make an argument both ways, but where are you on who's going to win here? Oh, we may have. I can see you now. Finally, you're back.
Okay, cool. I was going to tell you I got a text from my internet provider that I have an outage in my area, but I haven't lost. I haven't lost my Wi-Fi. Usually that's fake when I get that, but it looks like we're good. So we will see. But I do think we're on a. I've laid this out, I think, in solo shows. I think we're on a path for All In to have MJF fighting for the world title. I will not spoil the rest of my picks. So because of that, I think MJF does win here. It is on a path to be in that match at All In, because I do not think that Kenny and Okada are in that spot the way things are currently being booked. So I'm going to go with MJF to win here, unless they're going to do multiples of these where MJF ultimately wins. But I don't know, they might, because this doesn't have a stip, and this is like a feud that could have a stip. So I don't feel confident about that, but I think MJF does win the feud. So because I don't know it's going to go past this, I'm going to pick MJF.
Yeah, I'm taking MJF too. And I think either way you want to go with it. Like, if MJF's going to challenge for the world title down the road, and you're starting to set that up here, you want him to get this win. I also think that if there's to be another match here, I think MJF, you got to have him win. You don't want to give away the whole end of the story right now for Adam Page. So I think even in a scenario where you do want to do a rematch at Dynasty, because that's right around the corner, like, you still want MJF to win, so that either he wins, he cheats, or some kind of underhanded tactic to get to give Adam Page a reason to want a second match. So I think even in that scenario, MJF wins. So I'm taking MJF as well. Sean says here, our gold member Sean says he doesn't need Hebe and MJF need to yell in his promos. I'm with Wade on that one. Wade Keller of PW Torch. I like passion, but geez, yeah, he got right up. For the people that don't like MJF yelling in promos, he got right up into that camera and just screamed at it. The screaming in wrestling promos doesn't bother me all the time as much as it bothers some others. I think that there's a time and a place, just like there's a time and a place for talking softly. So I don't know. This didn't strike me, Sean, particular, but I get why you'd call it out, because it was certainly a lot of yelling and a lot of distortion and a lot of an up close on MJF's face. So
yeah, and it looked like he was in like some neighborhoods are constructed where you don't have like a driveway in your front yard. You have like an alley that connects both houses. It looked like he was. Is that how yours is? That
promo could have been shot in my alley.
Yeah,
sure.
It was like, it looked like that. I was like, oh man, this is like kind of cool and like old school, like early ECW kind of feel, which I liked, especially with the whole venue too, as you talked about.
Yeah. All right, let's move on. Man, if we keep at our 30-minute analysis per match clip, we're going to be here until about 8 tonight. So let's where do I want to go next? Okay, let's. Do I have you, Tyler?
But this match. So,
I don't know if I have Tyler anymore.
Can you hear me?
Oh wait,
I can see you
there. Like, you're moving really fast, like you're the Flash. Now you're back.
Okay, cool.
I think your internet is like hanging on by
hanging on by an edge, by a thread. Yeah. So if we want to do like a quick fire. It's up to you. Do you not hear me?
No. I think Tyler's going to go bye-bye here, folks, in a minute. Can see it in his eyes. Yeah, there it is. There it is. All right, it's just me for a little bit while we get this technical issue mapped out. So yeah, I mean, but look real quick before we get into the rest of the preview. We did 30 minutes or so on this match, and I think like obviously we're not going to do 30 minutes here on every single match, but you could, and I think that's interesting. I think that's a good place to be if you're AEW going into a really big show. And so for that, that in particular makes this really fun to a fun show to preview, and it's going to make a really fun show to watch on Sunday night. All right, let's keep going because I don't know if Tyler's coming back because he is getting warnings about his internet. The AEW World Tag Team Championships, they're on the line. The Hurt Syndicate, Bobby Lashley and Shelton Benjamin against the Outrunners, Turbo Floyd and Truth Magnum. This match to me kind of is what it is, right? This is a match that Hurt Syndicate have on pay-per-view so that they can continue their run as tag team champions and so that they can get a win and move on to other things, move on to bigger and better things. I do there. Hey, you're back.
It says I'm good, so we'll see. I don't know.
All right. I just was like, I don't know if we're going to get him back for this show.
Yeah.
So let's we'll see. All right, cool. Well, we're previewing tag team title match. Hurt Syndicate against Outrunners. I was just finishing up saying that like this to me is a match for the Hurt Syndicate to get a win. But I think they put the elbow grease in with the Outrunners. I mean, they've been telling stories on Collision with them. They gave them a big video package. So I think they're doing a good job to present Outrunners as viable tag team title opponents for the Hurt Syndicate. But in the end, it doesn't matter. Hurt Syndicate are going to win this one. I think they're going to win definitively. And, bye-bye Outrunners for now. But I applaud the elbow grease. But Hurt Syndicate takes this.
Did you talk about the Young Bucks at all?
I did not. Go ahead.
I certainly think that you're right in the Hurt Syndicate wins. I think this is an opportunity for the Bucks to come out and save the Outrunners from like a post-match beatdown. Re-identify them as baby faces, and then to be aligned with Kenny while he's on his run. And, maybe at All In, you wait and do that Hurt Syndicate Young Bucks match. So that's probably the biggest tag match you can do. So I think that starts here at this pay-per-view as like your big surprise return.
Yeah. And I think that's a cool match. I mean, I don't know. Like when I think about Hurt Syndicate and Young Bucks, like the Hurt Syndicate right now are at a place where I think people like them. I think they like just watching those guys beat people up. They look good. They look like champions. And then you're going to have this like legacy AEW team come back in the Young Bucks. And I don't know that. I'm interested to see who gets cheered out of those two teams because I think, the Young Bucks coming back always is going to get a pop, but people like Hurt Syndicate right now too.
How long would you book Turbo Floyd to go toe to toe with Gunther? Triple H.
It like in WWE right now?
Yeah, I'm just making the Otis comparison.
2 minutes. Come on.
Yeah.
It's crazy, man. God, we talked a long time about Triple H.
I know. I just can't get over that. I've been very kind to WWE, and I was like, "Good." The dark side came out of me on that. I was like, "This is ridiculous." So
it's so bad. I mean, it was so bad. If you missed our chat about this, about Otis and Gunther, flip on the last show we did on what was that, yesterday morning, and you'll hear us go pretty hard on Gunther giving too much to Otis, and this would have been that. Yeah. Okay. You're taking Hurt Syndicate also?
I am, and like probably the shortest match on the card.
Yeah. Let's go to the women's division for a little bit here. Mercedes Moné against Momo Watanabe for the AEW TBS Championship. Tyler, where are you at on this, and who do you think is going to win?
Yeah, I mean, kind of Mercedes build, so it's like lower on my anticipation level for storyline because why would I care about these two interacting besides it's going to be a good match? So, it's probably going to be a top 4 match worked on the card, and Mercedes is going to win. And I could probably just say that on Monday morning when we do the post show. But I'm excited to see it. But all the build hasn't done anything for me.
I think I can clip that right there for you.
Yeah.
And I think for the next 5 pay-per-views, and
Yeah,
certainly for the previous 5, I can just slice it in.
Till all in, basically.
Yeah.
Before it's Mercedes and Tony, which is going to be awesome. I cannot wait for that.
And it will be. It will be. And I'm with you. Mercedes Moné is going to win this match. I think it is going to be a top 5 match on the show, most likely. Mercedes Moné doesn't miss when she's on pay-per-view. She's on a really good run right now of in-ring work, and there's no reason to think this one won't be any different. This is one of your top stars. And I think she needs to do more in your narrative world than just, I'm going to fight these random women who come in, month after month after month. And that to me is where Mercedes Moné is right now. Andrew H says here, if Mercedes decides to compete and not be lazy, another exaggeration by Haydorn. What am I exaggerating?
Yeah, I don't know.
That is erroneous. I don't think you can argue that Mercedes is putting on, really good matches right now, top to bottom. I love you, Andrew, but I don't think you can argue that point.
Yeah. She's being booked, and we'll get to Okada later, but it's Tony Khan is very precious with both of them, and it's doing a disservice to both of them too.
Yeah, right. Yep. Yep. So I like this match, but I just think you can do more with her.
To be positive, the WWE comparison again, I would book Mercedes and Okada if I'm Tony Khan the way CM Punk's being booked in WWE.
Right.
Where they are a big star, but they are fallible. And as a heel, right? Punk's not a heel. Or Drew when he's at his peak. Yeah. Where it's you build them up, but they're not impervious. And because they're impervious, they have to wrestle, Matt Sydal.
Right. Well, that's exactly it. Because you can't, it's really hard to keep talent hot like that with never losing, always winning, but not being in the title picture at the tip top of the company. And that's kind of where both Mercedes Moné and Okada are in. They're treated as these top guys, but they've got secondary titles and they work with secondary stars, and they're just not, that's tough. That's tough. All right. So we're both taking.
Yeah. So this chat is going insane. If you read, you guys are, I love all you guys. You guys are so wrong that Mercedes is literally would be the best worker in WWE right now, without question to me.
No question.
Better than Rhea and Charlotte and Bayley and Roxanne Perez and Julia and Stephanie Vicure. She's better than all of them by a million miles. So
yeah. And so I'm looking at her last batch of matches. Okay. So she had a really good match with Harley Cameron. Nobody's had good matches with Harley Cameron. She has. Before that, she worked a solid match with Yuka Sakazaki. She did the thing at Wrestle Dynasty with Mina Shirakawa. That was one of the best matches on the card. If your name is not Kenny Omega and Gabe Kidd. She had 2 really excellent matches on pay-per-view with Chris Statlander. She beat Hazuki at the Strong Style Evolve show, which is one of the best women's matches of last year. She pulled a suitable match out of Anna Jay, worked with Queen Aminata. The list goes on and on and on here.
she made Stephanie Vicure
she made Stephanie. Yes. So come on, guys, come on. Let's.
I would just we're all entitled to our opinion. I just would like to know who worker. We're not talking story. We're not talking effort. We're not talking about promos, right? We're talking about matches.
Which, by the way, was our point on Mercedes to begin with, which was she needs to get more into that.
Yeah.
Yes.
That if you do the NBA Jam of you have 4 skill sets, and, work rate is one of them. That's a 10, and everything else is a 1 or a 2. That's our whole point. This is good. This is
why it's fun.
Spirited debate. I love it. Usually we're all chill with each other, but it's fun.
No, They can't all be the best, but they can all be really, really good. And so,
like
Josh was on
you were being nice, Zach, but like, Mercedes is elevating like bums to have like good matches, and everybody in WWE is working that style, and they're all talented. But like a free reign Mercedes versus Roxanne Perez is probably the best match in North American women's pro wrestling right now. Is what I would.
That would be good, man. Yeah.
So like, there you
go. I want to thumbs up or thumbs down this in the chat. I just want to see where everybody's at. Thumbs up, Mercedes Moné. Thumbs down, Mercedes Moné. Hit it, and let's see where we're at. In the meantime, while you guys do that, let's keep going with our preview here. Let's talk about this one. This will be fun. Swerve Strickland versus Ricochet, #1 contender match. Man, I really like what they've done here with this too. This is on the level of MJF and Adam Page to me. Like I just think that Ricochet has found his groove as a character, as a heel. It's not going to impact his matches at all. The fact that he is a heel, he's got personality now, which is really important. Swerve is Swerve. He is like the ultimate badass. And I don't know. I know that like, it just seems to me that when I look at Swerve Strickland, I think you see like just like you do with Will Ospreay and Kenny Omega. I think he's on that level of like, this is a guy that you need to think about putting all your chips in 2025. Like, I just think he's got a swagger. He's got a personality. He can work good matches. There's an edginess to him. He can talk. He's got, things happening for him outside of the wrestling ring, which, makes him, more of a kind of a champion celebrity, which I think was good for the company. And I think that Ricochet and Strickland have taken this thing that like was just, all right, let's just do a program here. And they've made it one of the more interesting feuds in the entire company. And so I'm really high on this. I agree with you from what you said earlier. You got to stop the narrative of like, hey, we're going to kill you, or I'm going to put you 6 feet under, or I'm going to bury you into the ground. Leave that at the door. You don't need that. This didn't need that. This didn't make the promo better. But the landing point here is, I think they've got an intense feud. I think they've got a lot of drama. I think that they have showed the AEW audience that they hate each other, and there's stakes here with the #1 contendership on the line, plus the Jimmy Rave robe plot thing, which I think is a nice touch here. This should be a great match, and I think it's on the heels of a really good build. So this gets thumbs up for me.
Yeah, obviously, second everything you said on Swerve. I think that's on record for me.
Correct. Yeah.
And he's got the Mass Effect leather jacket, which is awesome.
Yeah.
Did you know what that was? Yeah.
No, but it looked cool.
Yeah, the N7 is like you play a character named Shepard, and you choose your gender and what you look like, but that's like your crest essentially. Huh. So he loves Mass Effect. So that's always a big win in my book as well. So
wait. I'm going to sound like an old get off my lawn comment here, but like, is that like a video game or something? Like, what is it?
Yeah. It's a video game. Yeah.
Okay.
Like 3 of them, like in the early aughts or late aughts, early teens is when those came out. Like Xbox 360.
What system is it on, or what?
It's on like, well, there's a people do an ad for EA here. They own the company, but it's there's a definitive collection you can buy on modern consoles, which is really good. They kind of up-resed a lot of it and made it a little more streamlined.
Like any of them, like Switch and everything?
What's that? I wouldn't play it on Switch, but that's like, it just runs bad. But yeah, you play it on like Xbox or PlayStation or PC.
Interesting.
Yeah, like came out originally like Xbox 360 and PS3.
Huh. So. And what is this game called again? I'm googling this.
Mass Effect.
Mass Effect 7?
Yeah. N7, but that was like N7 was like your ship. So that's like that's what that's.
I was like, Jesus, there's 7 of these games.
Right, well, there's 3, and then there's really another one but no one talks about because it was unrelated. Anyway, we're getting into
go ahead.
Talk here, but cool jacket. What I would like produce Swerve to change on his promo last night to make it even better, because the best line was talking about Ricochet's wife. and he's more relevant because he's got essentially a hot wife than anything else. Which is good. That's a great line of like, hey, you're nothing, buddy. He should have said like, I'm going to kill you. He's like, I'm going to beat you so bad that you're going to go crawl back to MVP and beg for a spot again. Because remember, that's like why this has been so good, because we were like unbelievably shook that he left WWE, went to AEW, and was like a cuck for the Hurt Syndicate for like 3 weeks.
Yeah.
And like the fact that this is like the proof that Swerve, like with anybody, is tremendous. I mean, Adam Page and him, if it's MJF and him, spoiler alert, like that's probably feud of the year in AEW, if I'm thinking. But yeah, like Swerve elevated this Ricochet character. We know Ricochet's good in the ring, but like this is the most Ricochet's ever talked, most he's ever worked a character in like his major wrestling career. And I think that's a big thumbs up to Swerve that he can get this out of somebody. If you have the talent, Swerve is obviously able to get that out of you. He's been doing that since him and Keith Lee were a weird tag team. It was still compelling. So yeah, like everything. And did you pick a winner in that?
I didn't, but I'm going to pick Swerve.
Yeah, I am too. But it is like it's hard, right? Because like
it's not easy. It's not an easy pick. No.
This one tells you does kind of tell you how the main event's going to go. I do think they're doing a good job making me like pretty 60-40 on the main event. Which, well, the men's main event. We'll see if it's actually the main event. But, yeah. So I'm going to go with Ricochet's, with Swerve as well. But yeah, I could see it going another way. I just don't think that everything you said on the top about Swerve he needs to be protected in this and go on and do big things. Again.
In our chat, the boss is like taking some fantasy booking right out of my mouth. Boss says here, Swerve wins. Nana turns on him during his championship match. Jay White does the same thing to Cope on Sunday. And then our gold member, Andrew, says, I agree on both counts, boss. Do you think that's a viable way for this to turn out? Tyler, like I think that's entirely possible. Like Prince Nana and Swerve are worked out in the end. And if you go back and you listen to the show from a year ago,
a crazy pairing.
Yeah. If you look back on this show, if you listen to this show and you go back and you go in the archives and see what we were saying about this back when, the pairing first started with Swerve as a babyface, it was like, this cannot work. Like it just cannot, but it has. And, so I don't think you have to like turn Nana, but at the same time, he is still better as a heel manager. Like, it's like Paul Heyman like that. He can work as a babyface, but 9 times out of 10, he's going to be better as a heel. And I think that's the case here with Prince Nana. And that'd be a good way to get a big feud going for Swerve. So I think it's possible, boss. I do. And Andrew, I agree. As far as gaming goes, Andrew H says here, Tracy, Tyler might as well be speaking Mandarin about gaming. I am not a gamer. Yeah. I mean, I play video games, but I didn't know that game. So
just know that's how all of us sound all the time talking about wrestling. So
yes. Oh my gosh. All right.
Someone in my life asked me that likes wrestling, that I didn't know they liked wrestling because they were talking about John Cena turning and everything. They're like, oh, you like wrestling? It's kind of a very light acquaintance. And I was like, yeah. They're like, who's your favorite wrestler? And I said Swerve Strickland. They're like, oh, I don't know who that is. So I was like, what the hell? But you say you watch Raw every week. For shame. Anyway, go ahead.
That person should check out AEW.
Yeah, the Tony Khan target is that person. So
there you go. That's it. How do you reach that group, Tony Khan? All right. Let's see. Let's do this one now. This I think should be the main event. It's I don't know that it will be the main event, but I think it absolutely deserved that slot. The AEW Women's Championship. It's a Hollywood ending. Falls count anywhere. Pinfalls count anywhere. Anything goes. Toni Storm defending the AEW Women's World Title against Mariah May, the trilogy match. Yesterday on Dynamite, they did a short sit-down interview with Renee Paquette. You had, you had Mariah May kind of a bit more unhinged, a bit more off her rocker. She spits in the face of Toni Storm. Toni Storm no-souls that thing. Go ahead.
Can I ask you? Don't answer this question. I don't want to get you in trouble. Is it worse? Would you rather MJF set you on fire or Mariah May spit in your face? Don't answer that, anybody. Okay. All right, go ahead. Go ahead, Zach. Don't answer that. Don't answer that. Keep moving.
Neither, but there's a clear number one on this one. This was I thought this was fantastic. I thought this was the best part of the show yesterday. I thought it was right in line with the tone that you needed to kind of put a bow on this build and go into the final match. You've already done your big violent angles. You've already done your big heel attack. You've already done, the Toni Storm beating Mariah May. Like, this just needed like a little nudge over the finish line. And I thought that this was that. I thought Toni Storm was excellent. Like, she just like stood tall in her chair. She didn't sell the spit to the face. She just took it and kept talking. Like, and then I just love the ending. Like, Renee Paquette is like, hey, I just pray that you guys both are okay after this. And Tony just goes, hey, pray for her. And like, they stare each other down. Like, man, it's Pro Wrestling 101. Crowd's going to be behind Toni Storm. This is what you want for your championship matches. And this feels like a big time match. You can't say enough about this whole feud. And I hope that they have a really, really long time to do this match on Sunday to give it the final kind of epic conclusion that I think it needs. And I'm going to take Toni Storm to win.
Yeah, I agree with you. This should be the main event. It's a world title, so you don't break your little rule if you're Tony Khan.
Yeah, right.
And it's a big moment, and this is like the best women's story in company history between these two, I think, without a doubt. So to pay that off with the main event on a pay-per-view, I think would be nice, and it is warranted. And yeah, I mean, like you said, everything was great. The Tony just laying out, like, I don't sentence you to death. I sentence you to like a life of mediocrity.
Yeah,
like where you're never going to be better than this moment right now.
Great line.
Which is like totally true, probably, right? And Mariah May's like pretty good. Is a good character, but like this is probably the most relevant she's going to be if I had to take a bet. And that's not a negative on her, but like that's like such an effective line for anybody.
Yeah,
it's probably the line of the night, obviously. But yeah, and it sets up to like if you give a lot of time to Mercedes to put on a good match on this pay-per-view, and you have Tony win in the main event, I think that does signal. That helps like to make it a huge event when you get to All In, and it has to be the two of them. I know I'm just getting so sorry for everybody. Zach, maybe you can clip the other thing I said about every Mercedes build. You can clip me saying that as we like. If that's not a match for All In, I think this is like one of the biggest fumbles of all time.
Would you
for AEW?
Would you rather see that, or would you rather see? Because there's another option that I think you might get.
Mm-hmm.
Would you rather have like Mercedes against Athena? Like, is that a viable? Can you get
at All In?
At All In, yeah.
No, it's got to be like Mercedes has to move up and be not in the Jade universe, which is what she's been ever since she's come to the company. She's got to be someone who swims with everybody and is a real character and is not like feels like a rental character. So yeah, I will pass on that.
I've heard, rumblings of like, hey, that might be a match, and obviously you want to do that match at some point, but
you can do that at Double or Nothing. That'd be great.
Yeah, you got to heat Athena up way more than.
Yeah, you have to have your audience know who she is because.
400,000
people, or not even that, like 450,000 people a week are not watching her on ROH compared to people that are watching Mercedes on Dynamite.
Yeah. All right. Okada against Brody King, the AEW Continental Championship. This is how you make your pay-per-views a little bit shorter. Don't do this on this show. I don't think you need this one. I know you want to get Okada on the card. I get it, but this is like that Mercedes match. Like, you're going to have this match. It's going to be what it is. It's not going to be bad. It's not going to be great. But it is going to be forgettable and irrelevant by the time this pay-per-view is over. And so that's where you're at with Okada, this big signing, and this is where you're at with him. So obviously Okada's going to win here, but I just prefer leave this off. Do this on Dynamite if you really feel like you have to do it. It's been thrown together in 2 weeks anyway.
Agreed. Not feeling this one at all. And that's probably the only match I'm not feeling anything on because, he's going to win. It is always interesting to see like Okada's going to have to work the whole match because typically he's not working 92% of the match. So that's what I'll say on that. But
Okada's just collecting those checks, man.
Yeah.
Goodness.
I mean, we'll get the meat, boo when we get that slap in the middle. So that's fun. But yeah, this should be like 10 minutes in and out.
And you're taking Okada?
Yes.
Okay. All right. Let's get to the Don Callis family matches. We got the International Championship on the line. Konosuke Takeshita defending against Kenny Omega. This is the match that got the least amount of build on the show. They got a really good video package. But
when was the last time Kenny was on the show live?
He was not.
Yeah, when was the last time? It's been like 3 weeks.
Oh, yeah, it's been a couple. Yeah, he was on Collision. But he wasn't. Yeah, it's been a while since he's been on Dynamite. They did a video package, which was good. But again, I didn't have a problem with that though in this case because I think they had this pretty much done. Like I think they're at like get to the match part of this program. I think the video package was enough to kind of show Takeshita, show Omega, tell their stories, highlight everything, and that's it. And now you can go and do the match. So I didn't have a problem with this. I'd like to see Kenny Omega get out of this Don Callis web after this match, which is why I think he wins. I think he wins. I think he puts this behind him, and he's the international champion now. And then you build to that Okada match this summer. But I'm expecting a very good match out of these guys. Like I think you're looking at a potential match of the night here, and also a potential match of the year if they have enough time. We know that they can have good matches together, and this one with the championship on the line is going to be interesting. I'm taking Kenny Omega though. You got to have him go over. You got to have him win some matches here, and this is an easy one for him to win, and I think he will.
Yeah, it's more about what the final destination is here for the belt, right? Or that we hope it is. So Kenny winning this is fine. It does it's weird that the belt on the line kind of makes it more like, oh, maybe Takeshita will win because the belt on Kenny is weird. But
and that's not a bad thing either, like
yeah. So it's a weird use of a belt is to be like, well, it's below him, so why would he win this? Because he doesn't need this belt that's below him. But it's certainly better than one thing like you said before, we should cut the Okada match, and I agree. Shout out to Tony Khan not having Lee Moriarty and Daniel Garcia on this card for the TNT title. So respect for that booking decision, because there was a time when that would have certainly been on this card.
Dude, the TNT title, my God. I mean, what just happened to that thing?
Yeah, at least it's being defended on TNT. So that's good.
True.
But I think Kenny wins here. Obviously going to be an incredible match. Probably one of the best too. This or the next match we're going to talk about.
Yeah.
So they have great chemistry together, and hopefully gets the time. Hopefully this match, the next match, and the women's match all get the 20+ minutes they probably need.
Yeah. Yeah, these need time. I mean, that is the thing. I mean, but and luckily you have some matches on here that don't necessarily need it. I mean, even like that Colt Moxley match, I shave off time from that and give it to these three.
For how out of breath both of them were for a quick match, and then Moxley running out there, I was like, oof, Mox, what's going on?
Yeah.
You're a little too big now.
So you're taking Omega, right?
I am, yes.
Yeah. Okay. Let's get some chats here because from Andrew H, who says, I don't believe this will be the main event. This was in regards to Tony Storm and Mariah May. Thank you for sending this, Andrew, because it reminded me to ask Tyler about this. Do you we'll talk about Mox and Cope in a minute here, but you can just, I still think, answer this question without previewing that match in full. What should, like, is there any reason that should be the main event over Brian May and Tony Storm? Like, other than Jon Moxley's the AEW World Heavyweight Champion and you want to put him on last? Like, I just, to me, it's so obvious that it'd be kind of stubborn not to. And I'm not confident that they will put the women's match on in the main event slot, but it just seems like that's stubborn. That's stubborn right there, because this is clearly the hotter match by far.
Yeah. I mean, inertia definitely makes me think the Cope Moxley will be the main event. Tradition, whatever you want to call it. Tony Khan hates women, whatever you want to say. I'm just kidding about that. But
Tony Khan.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with you 100%. Like, the women's match is the match. The crowd would go huge.
Yeah.
Like, if there's 2 matches left and we haven't seen either of those, and then you see the image for Mox and Cope, the crowd's gonna be excited because that match is coming up. But then, like, that place is gonna pop because they know that women's match is in the final spot, and it's gonna be crazy. You know they're gonna go like for total broke. And the Mox Cope stuff, and we'll get to it in a little bit, but that's like about the finish. It's not about the match itself. Like, I mean, if I could like watch it live and skip 8 minutes, I would totally take that. I would do it.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah. Well, and you're right. Like, you hit it on a very good point. If this match is last, like, I think it hurts the show overall, because the other things in the middle of it are more important than it. And instead of hitting a nice crescendo at the end with the real main event, you don't. It's choppy. And so,
but like, the flip side, and Tracy's also probably right again. So congratulations, Tracy. She's saying that they want to end with the Death Rider post-match angle, which there's like an okay version that was teased at the top of the show that like I could get behind, but I'm not like, it's not the craziest thing in the world, especially with what happened this recently in the world of wrestling. Like, it's going to be hard to do like crazy stuff. I think it's way better if Tony wins and Mercedes comes out and like goes face to face with Tony down the show. I think that's way better finish of the show and more memorable, but that's just me.
Yeah. All right.
With the sign, because this is essentially like the Royal Rumble in comparison to All In, a little longer distance, but it's fine. You can start building that after the show.
Yeah, no, right. Exactly. And it's just more interesting. Anyway, we'll talk about more about it when we get to the main event here, but let's talk about the steel cage match first. Will Ospreay, Kyle Fletcher. Last night on Dynamite, they kind of put a bow on the whole thing with just a beatdown of Will Ospreay. You had Kyle Fletcher forcing Mark Davis into hitting Ospreay with the chair when he didn't want to. That was like kind of hilarious, but Fletcher's being the heel. They got heat on that they wanted. That was it. I mean, you've got history here. You've got the fact that they're, that this is a trilogy match here. This checks all the boxes of efficient build, going to be a great match. I wonder what they're going to do off the top of the cage. That's just like going through my mind, like, what crazy thing can you do off the top of the cage? Because I would bet that they do something like that. But this is this match here is why you don't want to give away Ospreay singles matches that are insanely great on TV all the time. Because you want these to stand out. And I think he's been much, much better about that the last month and a half. And now you get him on pay-per-view. You're going to pay to see him have this insanely good match. And that's what you want. That's Will Ospreay. I think that's what they have set up here. I'm taking Ospreay to win because I think this is like the end of this Ospreay Omega versus Callis family thing. And I think both guys got to win for that to happen. And, Fletcher's been elevated enough. Like, he's gotten a lot out of this Ospreay feud, but it's time for the good guy to win. And that means Ospreay goes over. So I'm taking Will. Yeah.
I mean, Mark Davis, is he going to join the Outrunners? They're going to be the trios champions.
He was good on that team, yes.
Because he looks like an Outrunner, and that is not a compliment.
He does.
So, but yeah, I agree with everything you're saying. And yeah, Ospreay needs to win. He's the one guy out of all of this, right? Anyone on the show, Like I can see where Hangman's going to go, win or lose. I can see where go up and up, and Ricochet, Swerve, all of them. I don't know what Ospreay's doing after this, and that makes me think he can lose. He obviously should not, because he's a way bigger star than Kyle Fletcher.
Mm-hmm.
But this is definitely built whatever didn't work for Danny Garcia getting a big spot. Wheeler Yuta, that young guy spot where they get a series of wins and then kind of go down the card, and can they come back up? Jungle Boy. There's a million guys in AEW history. It feels like Fletcher's the first one to go on a correct journey. Hook, another one that started, kind of didn't happen fast enough. I was against him beating Ospreay when it happened, watching it, but it's been good for him. And I just don't know what Ospreay does win or lose it after this one. So that's interesting to me, because usually I have a pretty good feeling for that. I don't know if you have an idea of what he's doing post this, but yeah, I certainly think that Ospreay will win and should win. But there's a little bit in there that him and Kenny both winning seems not 100% likely to me. So these AEW cages don't have stupid doors, right? I have that correct?
I think so.
Because they just lower it and it's a cage, right?
Yeah, I think that's right.
They don't have a door that's unlocked for no reason.
Yes, I think that's accurate. Correct.
My biggest pet peeve, more than belts, is that stupid door in a cage match at WWE.
Yeah, it really is the door. Yeah.
So, cool.
All right. And then we've got the AEW World Championship. Jon Moxley defending against Cope. A lot of chatter on this. Andrew H says here, I think we have another messy finish for Cope and Mox. Tracy is in there saying, I'm guessing they want to do an angle with the Death Riders. Early on, suggested that Jay White, could turn on Cope, and I think that's a possibility. He kind of cut that promo this week on Dynamite. It's like you might as well just said, this is a red flag. Pay attention to this.
Yeah, Jay White, who's always a bad guy, to be I'm a good guy.
Right. I'm a good guy. I'm going to stick.
I always will. Yeah.
Yes. So I think there's a lot that's possible as far as that goes. But when you break it down to Cope versus Mox, there's two things that I want to say about this. One being, going into this feud, I thought it was a good feud for Moxley to have, because prior to this, you had this big Moxley angle where he's taking over the company and he's running roughshod. The Death Riders are doing everything, and just, and then you have Dark Order trying to fight them, or you have Daniel Garcia trying to fight them. Yeah. Or Orange Cassidy even. And you had all these guys that you just are okay, blah. And I thought Cope was finally a guy that's okay, this seems credible. He's a guy that's seen a thing or two. He's, twisted in his own babyface way. He's violent. He's got, whatever. He's got the experience. He's just a bigger star than all those other guys. This seemed okay, this is good. And for the most part, I think that they've did all they can with this. It hurts because I don't think anybody thinks that Jon Moxley is going to lose the title here. I think that that's just fundamentally an issue with this build. But if you kind of examine everything that happened without that, you had, this kind of storyline with Copeland where he's running through the Death Riders. He got to each one. Moxley has been put on edge because of Cope, especially last night with Cope. Instead of beating up Wheeler Yuta, he shakes his hand and throws a curveball Mox's way. Mox is shook up. That was the end game. And so I think when you look at the hoops that they jumped through, I think they did a pretty good job of getting to this match. I just don't think it's a very interesting match because who's going to win. And now with Jay White, you kind of know how it might go down. And that's where I think this has been hurt from the very beginning. So I give this passable grades for just how they got to everything and they told a decent story, but I just don't think they were able to drum up enough drama because the outcome is so certain right now. I'm taking Mox.
Yeah. The boss. I wish you would have waited like 20 seconds, man. you took it from me. For anyone that's not watching live, forget I said that and think this is my idea. I mean, it was, but who has not been on television? At least Dynamite. I don't know if they've been on Collision.
Oh, Christian,
yeah, right. That to me is like a bigger red flag than what Jay White said. That and it's Edge related, Cope related, and I don't know what the machination would be, but yes, like Andrew's right. This is gonna be a messy Codyverse finish that we're about to be dealing with here. This is gonna be Anthony Ogogo and Sammy Guevara on fire level of probably what the hell is happening, because it's probably a Jay White turn on Cope with a Christian coming out to cash in on whoever's left over, and does Christian hold that for like 1 second somehow, and then someone like Jay White is like, I could see this be like, well, yeah, I agree with Andrew on that too. Like, it's probably all this happens, Christian cashes in, is the champion for Swerve to beat him. Makes a lot of sense to me, and it's like a little hot shotty, but that title's
and then Mox just loses it like that.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I think it even might be Cope beats him, Christian cashes in immediately because Jay White does whatever. There's like a lot of machinations here where Mox takes 37 spears, let's say, however many spears it takes to kill a man.
Just a round number.
Yeah. And Jay White comes out, or Jay White's at ringside. Maybe Pac is healthy because he was the first one that was knocked out, or Claudio, what have you. He goes in there, Blade runs, Edge, Christian runs out, cashes in. It's then a triple threat, or maybe it's a quad threat because Jay White's there, I don't know. And somebody gets pinned. Like, that is the type of finish I think we are not looking forward to, in my opinion. Everything you said about like this go home is correct, and I agree with you. This went from being like, this kind of sucks, to I like the story they told here where Cope is like being a smart babyface that's going like, kind of Batman.
Mm-hmm.
Taking out like all the minions before he takes on the big boss. So I liked all that, but I do think there is like 3 levels of chicanery that are going to happen in this. And, they haven't ever hot shotted the title. So if they do like a cash and win and then that person loses pretty much immediately, I'm okay with that because it's like has literally never happened where someone didn't have like a 6-month run with that thing. Besides, I guess, Danielson. But yeah, it feels like that's like kind of what we're headed for, which I don't love.
I don't love that either. Like,
do you think Christian? What do you think God's Christian cashes in, not teases it, win, lose or draw, like cashes in on this match?
I'd say that they're pretty good, just mainly because we haven't seen them, and it's been a while. But I don't know. Like, it just seems to me that like you've got this heel in Jon Moxley. So to me, it's like if the goal is to get the title back on Swerve, you do Swerve and Mox. Like, that to me is a better match, more exciting, better for Swerve, better for Mox than pivoting that title to Christian just to get it. You know what I'm saying? Just to get it on Swerve. Like, to me, if like the end game is Swerve, you wait a month or 2 months or whatever it is, keep it on Moxley and then do Swerve. Like, so that's what's kind of like, I'm not sure that it works nicely when for no reason other than just to like, I don't know, get Christian's cash in out of the way, which, I guess is important. But I think the better avenue is Mox wins, Swerve wins. There you go. Go there.
Yeah. I agree with you 100%. Like, that's why I was down on this, like, what's out, nightmare booking, I guess, instead of fantasy booking. I guess not a nightmare, but like, whatever. It's
a lot.
It's disappointed booking is what I would say. If what I said happens in some way, shape, or form, that to me feels like a Tony Khan issue of like, hey, I promised Adam Copeland and Jay that they would be world champions, and this is a way to do it for both of them in one sitting, and then you move on to what you want to do, which is like the worst for everybody.
It is.
I agree with you 100%. Like, if it's going to be anything, just Jay White is a bad guy, as Mox, and then they're like a tag team and they're taking on like Hurt Syndicate, like that would be way better.
That would work
down the line once like Moxley loses to Swerve, because like if it's Jay White and Jay White, Mox, and the gang, and it's Swerve by himself, and he like overcomes those odds, I think that's better for him as a babyface.
Well, and I think too, like Mox. Let me put it this way: the Mox stuff from since whenever that was, I guess October, has been rough. I think it's found its way a little bit here with Cope, but it's been like kind of boring. It's been kind of monotonous. However, you're at the point where like you're 6 months in now and it's like you're almost through this boredom period where now Mox is like, if you just go a little bit further, you've got Mox kind of in this like more epic kind of title reign. And to me, it's like, get there with it. Like go a couple more months to make the reign feel bigger and then put somebody over. Just chopping it off, I think is just, I don't know how I feel about that. I just we'll see. Especially with the cash in and he loses to Cope and Christian cashes in. It's like, oh boy, like now you're all over the place.
Yeah. I hope it's not that, but it just feels like, it's more likely that something like that's going down than certainly something clean. Because the only way for this to be like clean is Jay White turning on Edge, and then obviously Moxley wins that way, which is fine. That's better, right? But beyond that, it's like it's like totally off the rails if that is not like the story. Because like also Cope being champion makes no sense.
No, right?
Like long term, it's like what is next? Like, is that like Kyle Fletcher versus Cope at Double or Nothing? Like, I think we're in a pretty bad spot if that's the case.
Yeah.
Ricochet wins. That means Ricochet wins. It's Ricochet and Cope beats Ricochet in the main event of Double or Nothing. Like, that's not what we want. That's a main event of Raw.
Yeah. No, for sure. I mean, 100%. Absolutely. So, yeah, we'll see. And I think like depending on what the finish is, like if the finish, I think this match could live in the middle of the card if it's Jay White turns on Edge, Cope or Mox wins. Then you can put Tony Storm on last. If you're gonna do this like crazy thing that you just outlined, which I think it's not crazy, but it's wild. Like then you kind of have to have it in the main event because it's that crazy. So like whatever this finish is gonna be, I think it'll help determine its.
That'll be the harbinger for sure.
Yeah,
I do think like Tony's not had an issue with like having like two world titles go back to back like that, or like the biggest singles match go right before.
Right.
He's not worried about like the old school Vince McMahon pay-per-view booking pattern.
No, he's not. So, all right, guys, we did it. There you go. The Revolution. It's Sunday. We will be doing a full review show for our members. And if you want to check that review show out, become a member. We'd love to have you. We're on Patreon, patreon.com/BrassRingMedia. You can check out all of our perks that our members get and so much more over there. Once again, it's patreon.com/BrassRingMedia. Thank you to our super chatters, Zach and Tracy. Thank you to our gold members, Sean, Andrew, and Adam. We certainly appreciate the support of everybody who joined us in the live chat and whoever watched us on YouTube, on X, and after the fact as on the podcast feed. Thank you so much. We do appreciate it. Enjoy Revolution. We'll have all your coverage throughout the weekend. And then, of course, like I said, our review show on Monday. Tyler, any final words?
I don't think so.
Internet
held up, so thanks.
Internet held up. Have a wonderful Thursday, everybody. Thanks once again for joining the show, and we'll catch you all next time. See ya.